Hello and welcome to this week's Field Focus, another Field Focus. And today, we did a poll a couple of weeks ago. So what came up there was about brand amplification. And so let's just have a quick chat about brand amplification and why it's so important. So, number one, you don't know what you don't know. And if you don't show up, speak up, and stand out, how is anybody going to know who you are, what your book's all about, and why they should follow you and why they should buy your book? Leading on to, of course, becoming a client. That's what it's all about. You know, a book's about amplifying your authority. It's about raising your profile. It's about you saying, look at me, I've got this content, this intellectual property that I have worked on over a number of years through training, through education, experiences, all of those ways in which you come to the point where you are today that makes you believe in yourself, got that conviction, and you're committed to sharing your voice with the world and your message, of course. So brand amplification is how you are going to do that. So how do we do that? We increase visibility. What does that mean? You might say to me, well, I post on social media. And I'll say, well, how often do you post? Oh, maybe once or twice a week. Where do you post? Oh, I post on LinkedIn. And what's the response to your post? Well, nobody really says very much. That's not being visible. Being visible is standing up, having a light on you so your light can shine out for others, having something meaningful to say that people need to hear. They might not know that they need to hear it. So it's your job to be visible, to find and attract those like-minded clients, those people who are a few steps behind where you're at, so that you can be that leader, so that you can be that voice, so that you can share that message. So brand visibility is about being out there, but being focused and visible. And how do you do that? Planning it. Put it down on paper. Know exactly what you're doing. And work up to the point where you can automate 6 weeks worth of posts, at least a month's worth of posts at any one given time. Work in 6 weeks, 12 weeks, 3 months at a time. Know what you're going to say. What is the message? What are the themes within your book? What are the topics that you are a thought leader on, that you want to create the change? Who do you need to become? Who are you? Be visible. People need to know, like, and trust you. So ask yourself, how can I be visible? What can I do? And where should I be visible? So if you've not done so already, you will need to research groups where your diehard fans are hanging out. They might not be your fan today, but they will be, because you are so bright in speaking their language. You have got a message for them, and they know that it's making a difference in their lives. And when someone says something to you that makes a difference, guess what? Human nature is they're going to go and tell their friends. I listen to it. I hear it all the time. I speak to people and they'll go, I'm listening to this podcast, you should listen to it, and they'll send me a link. I think you might really like it. There's something in there, I think, that you'll get out of it. So how can you be visible? You can be visible through posts, but if you're just posting and not putting a face and a voice to it, it's going to get lost in the crowd. So you have to have a range of ways. Remember, people learn in different ways. So think multisensory. So some people want to hear things, they want to see things, they want a discussion. They want to see you in action. They want to see you in action behind the scenes, not just in front of the camera. Show them behind the scenes what it takes to be the person that you are. You know, so the person that I am, so now if I was able to turn this camera around, you can see I've got a pile of paper on my floor that's needing sorted, you know. So we're not all perfect. I've got quite a clear desk. I've got one little lot of paper it's my golden nuggets. So it's all about, yesterday this was my weekly drive, so I knew what I was saying and I could talk about that. So I have a weekly drive, so people can come and listen to me and ask questions all the time. I'm not talking about clients. So we've created a weekly drive. We're creating a rhythm so that people will know, Brenda has a weekly drive every Wednesday at 4 o'clock. What's she talking about this week? Well, I need to know more about that. So I'm going to talk about that whole holistic approach to what I do. So what are you doing on a regular basis? Do you have a podcast so people can hear you? They can listen to you on the move. They don't need to be watching their phone. They can be making their dinner. They can be doing anything, but they're listening to a conversation you're having about your thought leadership. Or maybe you're like me. I love promoting other people and putting other people in the spotlight, because we need to share all our genius. I call it ripples of brilliance. So podcasting is a great way. Video is a great way. Webinars is a great way. Little shorts is the best way today. People want to consume content, but they want to consume bite-sized pieces. And I can tell you, as a teacher of 25 years, that's how we learn best. Little bits of information that we can go and put into action. If you have too much information, then people are going to go, oh, they get overwhelmed, you give them too much. So I'm going to keep this short for that reason. So let's think of 3 things where you can be visible. I'm going to give you 5, and you're going to pick one of them. You're going to 5 down to 3 down to 1, and create a rhythm with that on how you can speak to your ideal reader, who is perhaps that ideal client. So posting isn't enough. Just putting out a post and a bit of copy isn't enough. And certainly, I know when I scroll through on social media, it's social. We don't go up to our friends and go hi and then start blurting out a whole lot of information. We give them a little bit. Oh, have you ever thought how you can shift your mindset? Have you tried this? And you give them one thing. So my coach believes in the one thing. So let's give them one thing. So let's see what we're going to choose. So we can choose between a webinar. We can choose between a podcast. We can choose between reels, those little 15, 30 second, 60 second reels that you do once and you can spread across all the other platforms. So short videos, webinars, podcasts, posts that have got carousels on LinkedIn, love them. So take a point and make 3 to 5 points with that one theme. Do it as a carousel and just a short piece of introduction, and then ask them what are they going to do, what are they going to choose. So carousel posts, and certainly if you can go live with little updates. Go live with little updates, behind the scenes, read a little bit from your book, but those little short, sharp pieces of your thought leadership that you want to share. And the most important thing is you can get engagement. Oh, I'm going to give you an extra one. Oh, I'm going against my own word. What about an engagement post? So polls are very good about that. Or start a sentence and get people to finish it. So there you go. I'm beginning to give you too much overwhelm. So what are you going to do? What's the one thing where people can really get to know you, see you, hear you, feel you through your words, through your intonation, through the stories that you tell? So you can see we could go on and on and on. So when people ask me, what will I do? What will I do? I can't tell you what to do. I can give you a menu of what you might do, and it's your choice. What will I say? What will I say? What will I say? Well, say what comes from your heart. Say what you believe in. So I walk my talk. So I teach what I do that gives me success, that makes me stronger, more resilient, gives me greater self-belief, gives me more self-confidence. So I'm going to share that with you. This is what you've got to do. It might work for you, it might not, but you're sharing it because it does work for you. And if people come with the same certain amount of ingredients, they're going to feel the same. That's why you look for your tribe, because your tribe are like-minded. They're like you, so they will emulate you. They will, if you say, you know, do 10 press-ups every morning, 10 stretches to the left, 10 stretches to the right, and 10 star jumps. They're going to try it, especially if you're showing them what to do and how you feel, and you can start to see there's a glow about you when you're on camera and when you're showing up. So there's lots of ways to do visibility. I've mainly talked about online, but equally go away and think about what can you do offline, where can you show up offline that allows you to talk to a new audience, because that's what you want to do. You want to be expanding your reach, not just online, but offline too. So there's lots there to think about. Don't want to give you too much, but find what works for you. So you'll get some, just before I finish, you see, I've always got, because I have to show you that there's no one answer. So you'll get lots of entrepreneurs and coaches and people who'll do webinars. They'll do what I'm doing, weekly moments. They'll bring an audience and they'll get to see you in action. They'll get to speak to you, ask you questions that you can answer right there and then, because that's the best thing you can do when people are right in front of you and you're talking and you say, if you get any questions, or people want to interject to say, can you repeat that? Am I thinking right? Is this what you mean? Checking in for that understanding. Don't forget, you check in for understanding. Are they understanding what you're saying? You know, you want lots of nods, lots of smiles, lots of thumbs up. So interact with your audience. So there we have it. Find what works for you. Me, I like video. I like talking. I like having live people in front of me. So probably workshops would be great for me, going back to being a teacher. What works for you? Are you an introvert? You're an extrovert. So what works for you? Is a podcast good for you if you're an introvert? Maybe you don't want to, you don't mind getting your voice heard, but you might not want to be seen. But we have to finally step out of our own way and do what's right to make the difference in the world. When you do these things, you will amplify your brand. And what do you want to do? The last word on brand? You have to show up in the same all the time. Talk about the same things over and over and over again. So my coach, one of my coaches and mentors for the last 8 years, she tells the same stories over and over and over again. She changes the lens and gives a slightly different slant depending on who she's working to. But we know the stories. But not everybody knows the stories. So you have to repeat your stories over and over again. Have a story, have a metaphor, have a universal story for every point you want to teach. Say the same thing over and over. Let your brand shine. Let your brand be known. So we can talk more about brand and how you do that. But how do you amplify your voice? You need to be visible. That's it. How do you amplify your brand? Be visible. Be visible. Say the same message. Come with high energy. Come with commitment. Come with confidence. And let your brand shine. Let it be brilliant. Brand brilliance. That's what it's about. So put any questions below here and I'll get back to you and I'll answer them. Maybe some of you have got your own ideas. No one thing works for everybody. So let's share what you're thinking. You might take an element of what I've said today, but that would be good. But do listen, do hear, but most importantly, take action. You need to act. You need to have awareness. You need to commit to it, and you need to build traction through action. And that is how we grow and build a great and brilliant business. So this is Brenda saying, be brilliant. Oh, hold on. Maybe someone's here. Let's see if they've got any questions for me. Whoa, Caroline Purvey, welcome to Field Focus. You can unmute yourself. We can have a conversation.
Oh, is it you and me?
Yeah, it's you and me. It was just me, but it doesn't matter. We show up and we do it, and that's what's important.
Oh, do I get brownie points?
You get brownie points, Caroline. Absolutely. So today we were talking about brand amplification. Do you have anything that you could share? What do you do? And I'll explain first. Brand amplification is about increasing your visibility to amplify who you are, to be seen, to be heard, and to be noted. So what do you do, Caroline? Because I know you do lots of stuff. What do you do to amplify your brand?
What do I do to amplify my brand?
Yeah.
get my voice out there as much as I can, talking to people, making communications through whether that's social media, and actually through LinkedIn. I have made some great connections of late, which is great. I'm in a couple of WhatsApp groups, and posts, really. Sometimes it seems laborious and that nobody's looking, and then suddenly out of nowhere something happens. Now let me share, and you are the first to know. I had a message this morning saying, you haven't bought your tickets for a dinner. And I got back and I said, what dinner? And let me just get the crux of the message here.
Live, folks, isn't this great? This is why you need to come and speak live and share your voice, be more visible amongst your peers. You know, it's so important, and it's important to share great news.
I need to. Okay, I have been honoured with an award. It's Women of Hearts celebration, and there's a big event in London in November. And this is for women who are the driving force behind positive change in society and the humanitarian world, acting as problem solvers, motivators, heroes, peacemakers, etc. So that's very exciting.
Yeah, and that's all because you are visible. People are getting to know Caroline Purvey, the brand, the TRE UK brand. They get to know who you are, what you do. And I talked about having the same message, Caroline. What advice would you give to people building their brand about getting that message and making sure it's on, you know, it's on repeat?
Well, I for one know that I've got to do more repeat, and I could grow exponentially. You know, but it's staying, to me, it is about staying focused and actually believing in what you do and being passionate about what you do. And then you start to find yourself naturally falling into the right circles, the right groups. I mean, yes, we know we're surrounded by a lot of negativity. We live in that kind of world, but my work is about getting people to actually release that negativity and feel more positive and alive. So yeah, I guess that's it, really.
And look, we can see all bits of your brand all around you right now. You know, there's your book and your cards in the background. There's that wonderful new logo that you've had, and not a full rebranding, but a tweak of the brand. And that's what all the great businesses do. They keep it modern, they keep it fresh, but they don't lose the essence of that brand. And you know, I've known you, oh God, don't know many years now. 6-7 years or something, I don't know, quite a number of years, and you've always been the same since day one. You've grown, and I can see how brilliant you are and more confident, and you know, but your message is the same. Your message is the same. And focus, you're right, I think that's your word. I would say focus is a word I would align with you, Caroline. And funnily enough, I wrote about focus this morning in my LinkedIn post.
I think I had that as something yesterday.
Yeah.
Focus, but and you know, also exciting, and it's another way, isn't it? We've been taken on to talk and deliver our process to a counselling group in London, and they're one of three branches, and for us that is massive, because when you've got a whole organisation that have taken on your work for their counsellors, then they talk, and so it's that butterfly effect, isn't it?
Yep, ripples, I call it. It's the ripples of brilliance.
Yeah.
Caroline, do you have any other general questions about your author's adventure, or do you feel you've got it in hand at the moment?
Any questions about my author's adventure? Well, I know, you know, I really know I should be doing much more about the book. I have a page on my website, you know, about the book, and you know, I guess I've got to do more work on that, talking specifically about the book, maybe, you know, reading little bits from chapters or something, or, you know, I'm putting it all on that page, because I think if people look at the website, they will find that. But it was fascinating because I put a post on Facebook about something completely different, very random, and somebody popped up and said, oh, you know, hope you enjoy them. Oh, it was about going to the cinema, something so simple. But she said, oh, I'm listening to your audio book. Brilliant. You
Exactly.
know?
Exactly.
Like, oh, well, I didn't expect that. I'll look forward to the feedback on that one.
Yeah. And I follow my authors and I follow you all the time. You know that because of my interaction and engagement with your posts. But that is true. And I know you've got great stories that we can talk about, because the thing is, you know, particularly with new authors, you know, it's like book sales, book sales, book sales, but it's more than that, isn't it, Caroline? And that's a testimony to it, because you just keep doing, I spoke about focus and spinning plates. So you just keep your book plates spinning beautifully and smooth, but don't worry about what are the sales happening, because like everything in life, it's a wave. So sometimes you get high sales, then they dip, then they go up, then they dip. And that's what being an author is all about, because in the dips, you're talking and you're building visibility that we're talking about today. And then more books get sold. And then it comes down. You know, everything's, you know, crest of a wave, and the wave's got to break. So as long as you're doing a wave pattern with your sales, you're doing a great thing. Yeah, you might get a spike at the beginning, but the spike will drop, you know.
Yeah.
But I know you talk about that all the time. Like you saw a post, oh my goodness, somebody's just told me they've just read my book. I didn't even know they'd bought my book. And that's the magic of being an author. You don't know who's reading your book. You don't know when they're buying it, and you don't know what they're saying about it. But you know, you just encourage people who buy your book or listen to the audio to leave those reviews. Those reviews are gold. They're gold, because they'll encourage other people. But Caroline, Margaret, welcome for joining us today. Thank you very much. Margaret's another amazing human being, Caroline, like yourself, and a great worker, and just like you, all like-minded people here at BBP. But Caroline, I would like you to share another way to amplify that brand, and that's about authors carrying a copy of their book with them. Share a story about what, I know you do that. You go out and you've always got a book. Share a story or two about that.
It's a business card, isn't it, really? Compared to what we pay for them, but the value that you give somebody else. And I went to a family wedding at the weekend, and two cousins were over from Canada with their mum, and I haven't seen them for some years. I knew one of them was a neuroscientist, and I took a copy of my book for all of them and gift wrapped it and said, take it, you know, back to Canada. But, you know, one for my cousin who passed away in Canada, his wife, because I knew she would be still battling with grief. And the son, because he was a neuroscientist. And the other son, who I wasn't sure what he did, but it turns out he's now working with children and their trauma from cancer. So it's fantastic, because I'm sure they're going to be interested in the work that I'm doing, and I'll have further conversations with them. So, you know, and that takes that message out to Canada. So you never know how far reaching what you're writing about and what you've written. And everybody's story is interesting. I've found myself reading more and more about people's life stories and making fascinating connections. So yeah, the business book, always have one in the car or the bag or something. You never know who you might meet, and it could be a little gift that can make a huge difference to them.
Yeah, and you've always got that book in the bag. Yeah, Magda, I'll come to you in 2 seconds. And you've met marketers when you've been out along the beach. You've met police people in the underground, and you've always got that copy, and you go, here you go, I want to gift this to you today, because maybe they've shared something about their life with you. And here's Caroline pops up, brand amplification, visibility. Oh, here, I'm not giving you a card, here's a book, find out more about me and what I do, you know. And I just think that is a message that only an author can share with budding authors or other authors, for sure, because I can tell people that, I know that. I mean, I do it myself to a point, but it's great when it comes from people like you, Caroline. So I think Margaret's got a question.
Yeah, I don't know, Caroline, I may have met. Caroline, did you write that book? What is the title of your book?
What's what, Margaret? Sorry.
What is the title of your book?
The title of my book?
I met you. I met you at the thing, and I bought your book, Caroline. When I saw you.
Well, that saves me having to get my envelope out with all the contacts to get round to say, did you ever read my book? And what did you think?
Yes. Yes. When I before Brenda, before speaking to you, while I was waiting, you were talking to someone. I spoke to Caroline. I bought her book. You know, yes. So I did recognize you, but you know, so what you're saying there extremely is what I understand about taking your book with you, etc., and how you present it like a business card. And I did buy your book because I found it very interesting. The title and everything, you know, really touched me because, you know, of what my traumas I've been through myself, as Brenda knows, etc. And yeah, so I met you, yes, before I met Brenda.
Margaret, did you read the book? That's the important thing.
Yes, I have read the book, etc. And just as I said, we have a similar alignment because this is what Brenda said, you know, the story that you've got, etc., about how, you know, feel and try to heal, have to talk about it, have to suppress it, etc. So I have read it, etc.
So I remember it now, it's all coming back, and I think the idea was read it, let's have a conversation and talk about collaboration.
Yes.
So the universe has brought you back together again, ladies, for a reason. You go. You know, so
yes.
and Margaret.
So two things, Margaret. We need to set up a meeting and chat about. I want to know more about your work and how we can collaborate.
Fantastic. That's
and
right.
Also,
because
I would really appreciate if you enjoyed the book and found it interesting, if you would pop a review on Amazon.
Yeah, but I read it. That was last year when I met you, so I think I'll have to go back and just refresh my mind because I'm writing my book. As Brenda knows, I have a podcast which I just paused on. So I've been doing a lot of things in between the books. So obviously, certain things is printed in my mind, but just for me to have a quick sort of, you know, before we can do that, so I have some fresh, you know, things in my mind. But there are certain things that you have written that really is alignment with me. My reflection has touched me. And we have a similar way of looking at this thing about trauma instead of suppressing it, how we can really let it go. And that's the only way to heal,
ladies.
heal it.
Yeah, absolutely, ladies. Margaret, if you get any questions that it's burning at the moment.
Well, let's see. I mean, I think I did put it on the school. I think, Caroline, you're on the school, that lovely adventure journey. I'm like a little child opening a gift because there is so much tools in there to learn. But no, I am. I mean, I'm not going to be, you know, Brenda knows me. I'm very excited, very passionate person. I'm very outspoken, truthful, whatever you want to call it. And I did ask a question, but I did ask a question. I don't know if Caroline or whoever saw it, because you see, when you're writing your chapter, I put it on the thing. I haven't gone back to it was answered. When you're writing a chapter, say like my first chapter is awareness, but other content from other chapters keep coming into your head. You see, while you're writing that chapter. So yes, I know we can pause and go and put it there, but it takes so much energy, so much time when you have a deadline in your mind and you want to beat that deadline. These other things keep How do you, I don't know, with Caroline or Brenda, how do you manage that?
Well, I'm going to say, and then I'll be intrigued to see if Brenda picks it up or is different. But I would say it's back to that word we were talking about earlier, focus. Right, if you're writing your chapter and you have a brainwave, have your scribble sheet next to you, put down the topic to remind yourself, but finish what you're doing.
Absolutely.
It's like
Absolutely.
conversations, isn't it? We'll have a conversation and then suddenly, and I'm very good at it, moving on to something else and bringing in another subject, and it all just gets broader and you have to get back. But when you're writing, it is that one thing. What am I doing now? And I always remember how my journey was made easier with Brenda when I started, because we had that meeting about, you know, how are we going to structure the chapters? And it's a bit like if you've done university degrees and dissertations, when you've got the chapters, the task is smaller, because all I got to focus on is that one chapter and everything in it before moving on to the next one. So therefore you can bosh it out a lot quicker, but have that scribble note.
That's right. It's about, and Margaret, you know, because we've just been doing this, it's about having the arc of the book. So what is the theme of the book, and how do you break that theme down into the chapters? And each chapter's got its own theme and topics and points within it. And it's like making sure you stick to your plan, because you can't put everything, you know, into one book. You've got to really focus on, well, what's the point I'm making in that? And we've had these conversations. So Caroline is also correct. At the side of you, if you get another note, put it down, but just say, right, I can't give you my attention just now. This is what I'm doing, because it'd be so easy then to, the book would just go mañana, 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 mañana. And you just have to trust the process, trust yourself, and trust the universe. And I know you're very spiritual, so you will set the intention, and you will trust that what comes out of you onto that paper is what has to come out of you onto that paper. Because remember, the golden thread, it's all those learning. That's what you're teaching. You're teaching, this happens in life, this is what you might happen, this is how you might feel, this is how you might behave, this is how do you get out of that darkness, how do you get back into the light, how do you, you know, and you're sharing those stories, and you're sharing personal story, universal story, and metaphor to get the points. You're giving tips, you're giving explanations, you're giving quotes, you're giving all the wonderful juicy stuff that we've talked about, you know. You can use QR codes now, you know, I'm very multimedia now with books, so that people can get a bit more of you. So you're given not just the words in that book, but there's added value. And guess what, when you come to the last page and you say, well, this is what I do and this is how you can work with me, guess what these people are going to do? They're going to go to that website, they're going to fill in that form, and they're going to have a conversation with you. Because if people can think they can approach an author and have a conversation, wow, that's amazing. I'm absolutely taken aback. I don't know about you, Caroline. And actually, Margaret's an author already. She's got other books. But when people say, oh, you're an author, oh, I'm getting to speak to you, and they talk about you as this, like, this person on that, maybe a pedestal is a bit much, but you know what I mean? You know, they see you in a way that's more bigger than maybe you're seeing yourself, more bigger, that's bad grammar, you know? So therefore, do not ever underestimate the courage and the power that's in your story and in the book that you write, whether you're sharing other people's stories or whether you're writing your own philosophy. But never, ever, ever underestimate it. And as Caroline says, we got a new client here at BBP because she attended a book launch I did a number of years ago, 5 years ago. And we made such an impact on that person's life 5 years ago. She wasn't in the right place. And she came back to me and says, I'm ready to write my book, Brenda. I didn't know she was coming back to write a book. She didn't even tell me she was thinking of writing a book, but she just showed up. Brenda, I've been following you and I'll never forget. And she tells me the words that I said. And I didn't even think anything of what I was saying, but they resonated with her. And that's the power of being an author. And that's why it should be more, it should be beyond the book. It's not, oh, I've only sold 5 books this month. I've sold 500 books this month. Yay! Great, of course. But you can make a bigger impact. You can get a return of investment way beyond book sales. And that's why I'm the right publisher when that is your mindset.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. Well, you know, thank you very much, Brenda. I really like that part about, yes, having a little notepad or something and jotting down that
That was
thing under
Caroline.
whatever
That's Caroline.
Yeah, I said Caroline. Yes, I said Caroline. Yeah, because you know I'm very creative and I have so much abundance that I want to share. And I think sometimes what happened to me, you know, like yes, I'm writing this, and all of a sudden, wham bang, this stuff, and I'm trying to put everything there. But I think this is a very good way of you know, structuring the book and focusing. So I really appreciate that very, very much. Another question, I hope you don't mind, ladies, I'm going to be asking questions because you know I'm coming through this journey here, which I'm enjoying tremendously and learning a lot, etc. Right. Now, here we're starting off in this beautiful journey of writing a book. We've got the title, right? Sometimes, you know, because I do remember my first book, I had this title and I'm writing it. Then come to the end, I'm like, hold on a second, is that the right title? A title came to me almost at the end of the book. You know, that my first book is called Priceless Roles of a Mother, but first I had like A to Z roles of a mother. That was my, you know, that was going to be a very small sort of book that I had in my mind. But the A to Z Roles is a chapter in my book, but the title of my book became Priceless Roles of a Mother, coming to the end. So there I am now with my second book, as Brenda, you know, and has been helping me quite a lot, which I'm very, very appreciative. I have this title, but somehow I'm feeling as I'm writing, it may not be the final title.
That's all right. Don't worry about the title. Yeah. Put the title out your head. Just know you need to know the theme, like we've talked about. It's your one thing that drives your life, right? So for me, an I can mindset's massive for me. Don't Don't tell me I can't do anything, right? So you know within you what's the one thing that drives your life that nobody can shove you off your pedestal. That you will have resilience and abundance, strength and abundance. So the title's changed already, Margaret, a couple of times, hasn't it?
Yeah.
So don't worry about it. Just stick to the plan and write about and do that.
Yeah.
Do not deviate. Yeah. Do not go beyond exactly what Caroline said. I wrote about this morning in a post on LinkedIn. Focus on the one thing at a time. Do it and finish it. What's next? And what's next might not be what's on that bit of paper because you had a better idea. So remember, plans are living documents. They have to be flexible. They can be adjusted, tweaked, amended, changed. But you just need to know what's my end goal, what's the end goal, what am I teaching, and how you get there. There might be some divergence in the path. Doesn't matter, you know. You just you get that. And I think Caroline, I don't think your book began with Feel It to Heal It, didn't we? had a whole.
No, we played around with various things that went on the front page, didn't we? But yeah.
Everybody, very few people. Well, some people like me. My books never change because I've got a series of voices, so my books always have a voice in it. But if I would, I found last weekend I've got 5 books half written, and none of them have got the word voice in it, you know. So I just get rid of this. So the title isn't too important. You don't need it at the beginning. Some people get it at the end. Some people get it at the beginning. It changes. I've spoken to you about people's books whose titles change throughout the journey. But by the end of it, when you get the right title, you'll feel it in here. It's totally intuitive. It's like, ooh, you know, you just know it's right.
But it's not even the title, is it? Because I remember the back and forth ideas we had before I got the image on the front cover.
You see, we had all sorts of things on the front cover. But the thing is, when you know a person, and you know I'm very much a soul connector and work intuitively, whilst it was quite a nice cover that Caroline thought of at the beginning, it wasn't Caroline. Wasn't it? Not really, Caroline.
Wasn't what I wanted to convey.
No.
I had it in my mind, but it's like, right, okay, and then that was it.
And that's what happens. Sometimes you just see an image and you go, wow, that's what I want, you know. And that's why even the book cover design can change over time. You might start with something, and then by the time you get to the end, you might go, no, this needs to be my front cover, because you'll get a vision. Authors are visionaries. You know,
Yeah.
maybe they don't realise it, but they are visionaries. You
Yes.
know, and it just comes. So just trust the process and know that
Okay,
as
all
soon as
right.
you get to
Thank
the
you.
result, it'll be perfect. All right, ladies,
Thank
I'm
you.
sure you're going to be busy. Thank you very much for coming along to Field Focus today. Yeah, keep coming. I'm hoping we get more and more of us here because it's
I
great.
just caught it by chance, and although I've got 1,001 things to do, I thought, you know what, I'm going to pop in, and it's a good idea, don't you, Margaret? And let's follow up
Yeah,
on.
there you go.
Yes.
That's why you
Please.
had
Well, I'm on school. Yeah, I'm on the school adventure, so perhaps we can communicate there. You know, so
yeah,
see how
yeah,
we can really
yeah.
come together and collaborate. So thank you very much,
Yeah.
Brenda.
Thank you,
And
Brenda.
Karen, lovely seeing you. All the best.
Okay.
Take
All
care.
right. Have a great day, ladies. Take care.
Bye.
Much love. Bye. Remember, be brilliant.